is back. Today we are going to be reading chapter 2 of Collector.exe. Sorry it's been like how long? A few months, but I am back and I will be reading the lore. All right. Well, you brought this upon yourself. Okay. So last left one. He used his tentacles and rips Fatal Sonic apart, but not fusing with him, just throwing him into the void. And with an evil smile on Collector's face, he says, "I'll see you in hell," before teleporting to Hog. Meanwhile, in the void, a huge laser comes down from above. Soon, pieces of Fatal Sonic started going into the laser, and the laser stops as Fatal Sonic is back to life. He is wondering why when he remembers he found an extra life in Collector.exe's original universe. And Collector was right about one thing. He needs to get more power to kill Collector. So he sets off to find help to kill this monster. Collector.exe teleports to Hog, looks down. Hog looks scared, but with courage he says, "Welcome to my land, mister." Collector. Collector.exe. Collector.exe says, "Okay, Mr. Collector.exe, what brings you to my land?" Collector says, "Well, you see, I was looking for a powerful being here. His name is Scorch." Hog says, "Well, you should look over there," pointing to the ocean. Collector says, "I know you're Scorch, little Hog." Hog nervously turns to him. Scorch tries to attack him, but Collector.exe doesn't even use all his powers. Just grabbing him with his tentacles, he rips off his arm and kills him, fusing with him. Collector says, "My form is complete." With the form using Eggman, Tails, Knuckles, Eggman, Tails, Sonic.exe, Destroyed Sonic, Sunky, Sonic.exe, EYX, and Scorch. I hope I read it. Yep. You can already see from the first chapter. He laughs, wondering how he can get more power. He thinks of two people, God and the devil. Now, don't be biased. So he teleports to them. First God. God looked at him, saying, "My child, you simply do not give up. Here, let God bring you to the good side." And somehow, Collector.exe rips off the arm of God and fuses him. God soon faded away, saying, "My child." He teleports to the devil, and as soon as he saw the devil, oh crap, he says, "Welcome, my boy. We shall rule the world together." And somehow, like God, he ripped off the devil's arm and fused with him. This proves how powerful Collector.exe is. The devil, before he fades away, says, "Good job." Collector.exe creates a new form, but instead of using it, he will make a separate body. So he does, making a Sonic.exe God/Devil form. He informs the form known as Devod, 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 Devod to torture anyone who dies, heaven or hell. The form says, "Okay." A Collector.exe goes and teleports to Cyclops. Then the form got curious and wondered, why was Collector.exe like this? And so he looked at him and saw that when Collector.exe was done getting power, he would rule the warm world and kill every form he's made. The form, being scared, decided to use his power to lock Collector.exe out of heaven and hell. The form has gone rogue. Now that was quick, yeah, I know. And decides to be good. Then out of nowhere, Fatal Sonic appears, tries to punch Devad, but with a smile he says, "Here, my child," stopping Fatal Sonic. "Have a rest. You look quite tired." Fatal Sonic was now confused. And for 10 minutes, Devad sat there sat and looked at the sky and everyone playing before Fatal Sonic broke the silence, saying, "Okay, who are you?" Fatal Sonic was extremely confused. Usually they would fight and he might die. Devad said, "I'm Devad, a former Collector.exe. My master used to torture people when they died, so he doesn't have to do it. But when I found out his true intentions, I got scared and locked him out." He hasn't decided to check up yet, but I'm scared once he does, he's going to kill me. Little Sonic says, well, I'm trying to kill him, and I can't do it without your help. You in? Devad says, okay, before Collector.exe teleports Devad to him. He's killed Cyclops and fused with him. Collector says, why aren't they screaming and torturing in heaven and hell? Devad says, I know what you're going to do to me after this is done. Collector says, so what? You're just a mindless form. Devad blasts Collector.exe in the face. Collector says, you little boo! And Devad lunges at him, attacking him. Collector is mad. Collector then says, so you want to betray me? Pathetic. Devad says, you will die and go to hell before lunging at him. Collector says, not before I kill you, and lunges at him. Oh my god, I get, okay. They both charge up a punch, and punch each other, and a big blast goes off. I can see my mistakes. I will be fixing it. When the smoke clears, it looks like Collector.exe was killed, but that wasn't the case. Devad was so powerful that he knocked out Collector.exe, or as he seems. Devad goes over to kill him when Collector.exe sneaked attack him with a tentacle, stabbing him. Collector says, why aren't you a powerful one? He says while breathing. Devad teleports back to heaven. Collector realized he just created a challenge for himself. Instead of being nervous, he's happy because soon he will kill Devad and fuse with him. But he needs more power. Then he realizes there's another universe with another Eggman. So he goes after Starred, and as soon as he's there, Eggman turns around and Collector wasted no time and kills him, ripping off his arm and fused with Starr. Soon, he realized he had more power. As he started concentrating his true form, and soon he has no legs. He has the body of Arbok the Pokemon, with the tail ending in a portal. His arms getting buffer, and his head is like a Hydra. So he goes after Tails up. I still haven't drawn this. Okay, let me give you. Basically, his arms are like the verse imposter, a human maroon parasite, and the body of an Arbok. The head of Arbok isn't the head. It's just the place for the arms with a Hydra. So he goes after Tailsaw. Tailsaw appears in the bathroom. A man did the Tailsaw curse, and Tailsaw goes to kill him. When Collector.exe teleports in, there are Sonic.exe. Tailsaw goes in to hug Sonic, but Sonic.exe kills him, ripping off his arm and fused with Tails. Collector decides to go to the void where he killed Fatal Sonic. When he goes there, he sees no sign of Fatal Sonic's body. He then realized he probably had an extra life. Enraged, he goes to complete his list. Collector.exe decides to teleport to someone named Lord Tails. He decides to use Cyclops' powers to turn into Lord Tails to confuse and kill him. What the? How have I not seen these mistakes? Okay, never mind. And as soon as he got there, Lord Tails tried to kill him, but Lord Tails dodged and started to copy him like a mirror. And then he killed him, ripping off his arm. Collector fused with him, saying these battles are getting easier. Then he realizes he can kill every .exe. He has the biggest IQ ever, and never realized he could create new forms to kill others. But then he realizes that last time he did that, the farm went rogue. So he decides if things get messy, he will do that. He decides to go after Majin Sonic next. Collector.exe teleports to Majin Sonic and sees Majin everywhere. Everywhere. Then he looks at the real one. Majin looks at him. When Collector immediately attacks Majin, Majin dodges. But he sees Collector. He has the biggest IQ by killing Lord Tails, Starved Eggman, Sunken Tails. Wait, is Lord Tails Slimmer? Okay, now I'm confused. So Collector uses his tentacles, grabbing Majin Sonic, and rips his arm off, killing him, and fused with Majin. Collector says, wow, these .exes are weak. Now that's not the actual voice. I will get voice actors. And I'll get one that's so Basically, Collector.exe sounds like Sonic.exe. Basically, yeah. Basically, I can just kill them all in a second. But in saying that, Fatal Sonic and the Void attack him. He gets sent across the multiverse, the .exe verse, back to the Void. Fatal Sonic and the Void are there, and they lunge at Collector. Collector lunges at them with a punch ready. They all punch each other with all their power. Collector, remembering what happened last time he did this, so he uses all his arms to punch. All his arm to punch. Why is there so many mistakes? And starts punching them like the move Bullet Punch in Pokemon, using all his power, knocking Fatal Sonic and Devad to the other side injured. But Devad and Fatal Sonic lost something not even Collector.exe could have seen coming. Devad and Fatal Sonic fuse it together, creating a big laser on them as they fuse. Emeralds. And then the Chaos Emeralds appear. Then the laser clears the smoke, showing a fused version of Fatal Sonic and Devad, creating Fatal Devad. Collector last saying, "You think you're a challenge?" Collector and Fatal Devad lunges at each other. So basically, it's like a Dragon Ball Z fusion. Fatal Devad spin dash into him, knocking Collector, causing him to fall. Collector.exe wastes no time and goes to attack when all of a sudden a chain stops him from moving. Collector does everything to escape, but it was no use. Suddenly he gets super mad, turning into his true form, taking out some purple crystals. Fatal Devad is wondering what the hell is happening when Collector.exe breaks the unbreakable chain and grabs Fatal Devad sitting at 10 feet high with two heads, Sonic.exe and Sonic.eyx, like a Hydra. Fatal Devad realized that he has another form that kills Xenoface and fused with him. Fatal Devad tried to escape but couldn't. Fatal Devad looked at the looming death and all of a sudden, something so fast it couldn't be seen, knocking Fatal Devad from Sonic.exe's grasp. But in return, the fusion wore off. It turned out to be metal. Collector is mad, and now he screams as he grabs Metal. Metal is quick to move out of the way of one arm, but when the other arm grabbed him, Metal tries to get out of his grasp, but it's no use. Collector crushed him and took his arm, fusing with Metal. He looked at Fatal Sonic and Devon. When he grows 5 feet, now Collector stands at 15 feet. 15! Devon and Fatal Sonic were quick to escape before Collector.exe could kill them. Collector.exe decides to turn into his custom form and goes after Normal CD. He teleports to Normal CD. Normal CD looks at Collector.exe. At first, he wanted to be best friends with him, but then he saw what Collector.exe was and starts running, saying, "Get away!" Collector.exe runs after him, but then Collector.exe stopped and froze. He gets a flashback of him as Sonic.exe chasing Tails. But this flashback was different. It was Sonic.exe running from a strange entity. But then it reverts back to him chasing Collector.exe, chasing normal CDM. Collector uses his tentacles and grabs normal CD, killing him as he rips off his arm. Collector thinks to himself, "Wow, I don't have any challenges. Why? I'm just going to send the form of me to kill the easier EXEs." Then he goes after God Z. As soon as Collector teleports to God Z attacked him. But as soon as Collector got hit, God Z disappears. Then he shows up in front of him. Collector.exe saw his ruse. It was Mighty. Collector went to kill him, but as soon as he touched Mighty, he disappeared. And soon he was seeing all these hallucinations. Godzi was a creature that fused with the Phantom Ruby, but Collector was determined. Collector starts running at him. And Collector was not expecting what Godzi did. Godzi started controlling. Godzi controlled the whole world. He started laughing as the world glitched out. But Collector was stuck. Then he remembers fatal error. He turns out a fatal error, able to walk on the glitch. Godseed saw that and ran to kill him, but fatal error turned into the true form, grabbing him, grabbing Godseed with all of his arms, killing him as he rips his arm off and fused with him. Now he is 20 feet tall and no longer has legs, but the body of the Pokemon Arbok. His arms getting bigger by the minute, and Collector grows another head. He has two heads like a Hydra, one Sonic.exe, one Sonic.exe. Yeah, you can see that I forgot. He decides to go after Lord X, but in the distance we see Fatal Sonic. He was watching the battle, but then he starts wondering how is this being able to kill every .exe. What he realizes, he never kills them. He just stabs them to make them stop moving, then rips their arm off to fuse them. But they do end up dying because since he fused with them, he stole their soul. But he looks at Collector, realizes that he has no longer has legs, and it's in the portal, and the tentacles go into him. Maybe the tentacles are what's keeping him alive and powerful. But right now, Fatal Sonic is weak against Collector. Even with the fusion with Devad, he can't beat him. He goes to get more power and allies. Meanwhile, Collector teleports to Lord X. He looks at Lord X, then he jumps on him. Lord X looks at him and goes to kill him when he is caught by a tentacle. But this time, instead of him getting killed, he rips the tentacle and attacks Collector. Plot twist. Collector screams in pain, saying, "Motherfucker!" Lord X spin dashes into him. Collector gets up, his head is down, when all of a sudden he starts laughing and turns into a new form, a form that has never been seen using. This form was making Lord X, a god, a bit scared, and all of a sudden, Collector.exe rips himself in half, showing his inside entity. All of a sudden, a black void, half black, half red, comes out. His eyes are just scribbles. He takes one look at Lord X, and soon the world corrupts into a black void of nothingness. I want y'all to pay attention. This character will be important. And soon Collector's.exe is gone. Nothing but his entity remains. Sorry. And the entity makes himself look like Sonic. The entity can't talk, but Lord X somehow can understand what he's saying. Lord X shakes off his fear and runs at entity, but then but the entity teleports behind Lord X as he punches. This goes on for 38 minutes. Lord X is starting to get mad and tired. Then he punches his shoulder to reveal a parasite on his head. The parasite was Collector.exe. He was using Gothi's powers to make Lord X think he was fighting the entity, but he got caught. Collector gets mad, then he decides to do something he never once has done. He goes on to fuse the Sword Sonic's glitcher form into his form. Lord X wastes no time to run at him. Then Collector.exe turns into this distorted monster, but still in his form. The whole world is glitching out, and the entity Sonics from before made a ring around them. Lord X looks around, and soon Collector's new form turns into the entity. Lord X tries to escape the ring, but the magic is like a barrier, and he still goes on to attack. But the entity is strong, grabbing Lord X. Lord X tries but cannot escape. And just as Lord X was about to die, Fatal Sonic comes out of nowhere, speeding and fused with Lord X, taking his power and lasers entity.exe. Fatal Sonic was now Fatal X. Oh crap, hold up. Alright. Sorry. Fatal Song was now Fatal X. All the Entity songs hold hands and form a ring around Entity.exe, and Collector was shot at Fatal X. Well, that's where we're gonna end off today. Collector looks at the Entity. He looks exactly like Collector, only he's a black void with squirrel red eyes. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed today's. I hope you enjoyed this. I really loved making this for you.